Welcome to the periodic catcher template lesson. This is going to be very similar to the other lessons. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details of how to put the programs together. If you go back to the periodic catcher elements, that's going to actually show you how to assemble and click the blocks together. Instead, on this one, I'm going to quickly run you through the written lessons, and then I'm going to go through the template inside Scratch to show you how it can be expanded. And that way you can take this template and adjust it to create a program that matches any type of class you happen to be teaching, whether it's social studies, history, science, math. I mean, it could be anything, which is pretty cool, you know, because getting students to program inside of your class is important. Okay, so the main thing is if I was teaching this to my students, I would make sure they get a copy of this periodic catcher template, which you can get free on our website. You go through the instructions, it's got the same material with all the different icons right here. Then it tells you to start programming, and then it goes step by step through the entire material. Okay, all the explanations are located here, and I would have my students go all the way through the lessons to make sure they can program it. Okay, let's look at the program inside Scratch so you can see what it looks like when you're completed. So we'll go ahead and run the program here, and you can see that, like before, it's just same old game, except it's very, very general. So that would be the end product right there. You should be able to move your pad left and right. It tells you which item to catch. It should be randomized every time you start it and stop it. It should be a different item number. Okay, I just got lucky that it showed all three, but it could be anything. You never know. And then your robot runs around throwing these blocks down. Okay, so let's mainly look at, let's just say we're going to stick with this template where we have 3 items. Let's go into item 1 so we can customize this. Let's presume that we want this to be a project for, let's just say, animals. Okay, so my item 1, what I can do is I can, if I want to, I can come in and change the name. Let's call it what kind of animals are there? There's what, let's say we got reptiles, birds, and mammals. So let's say we got mammals. You notice I had to think really hard about that. And then we'll change item 2 here to, let's say, reptiles. And item 3, birds. Okay, I'm not sure if that's an animal type, but we'll pretend it is today. Okay. All right, so we got mammals, reptiles, and birds as our 3 different types. Let's go back here and check our stage, make sure that doesn't affect any. Doesn't look like it because we're not really dependent upon the actual icon name. So let's go back to mammals. We know that this is item 1. We're just changing the name here. It just helps the students understand this stuff. If you wanted to, you could change all the broadcast messages from, rename the broadcast. You can rename it to say mammal 1, okay? But I probably wouldn't do that, especially if I was new to programming. I would just leave the start item 1 as is, and just know that item 1, we just changed the name to mammals. So let's look at how we change these blocks to mammals. So let's go to costumes, and let's say we have costume number 1 right here, which got number 1. Let's say we have a dog. Okay, that doesn't fit very well, does it? Some options are to adjust this is I can lower down the size of the letters, and it fits right there. Main thing to notice is I was able to double click here and adjust the text, and I'm only able to do that because I'm in vector mode right now. You have to be in vector mode in order to get these features. If you're in bitmap mode, you won't be able to do that, and it's going to significantly increase the amount of work you need to do. Okay, so make sure you're in vector mode. Change that to dog. Let's go to number 2. Whoops, I don't want that. Oh, see, I'm not in vector mode. I am in vector mode. What's going on? Okay, so vector mode, and we'll change that to cat. I know it's kind of predictable. Cat, dog. And I'm picking small letters. You know, let's say we got a big one here. What's a big mammal? Let's say a whale. Okay, that's pretty large. If I adjust this going to be very small word, I could do it like that. Or let's say students greatly appreciate larger text so they can read easier. So let's adjust the size of that. I'm going to click on this select tool right up here. Then I'll come down and click on my box, and I'm going to drag this out so it fits around the word. I'm going to check my costume center. Notice the costume center is over here. I'm going to put it right about there so it's centered up. Now I got whale. Then I come over here to number 4. Let's change that to, say, what's another mammal? Oh, let's get crazy. Let's put in a squirrel here. Okay, everybody likes squirrels, right? So we got a squirrel, and squirrel is pretty large. So again, I'm going to choose my select tool. I'm going to get this box, drag it over, and that's a little bit larger. And then the last one, number 5, let's give it another mammal name of, say, I almost said tree. Okay, we want a cow. Okay, I like those 3-letter ones because I don't have to adjust too much. And it could be anything. You could put different types of biomes and ecosystems, or you could say, you know, select all the animals that would reside in this particular biome. You know, and then you could have different types of animals in the different type of categories here. So now we have 5 items. We renamed for the names of the animals. I'm not going to do the reptiles or the birds just because you can see the process is very similar to adjusting these. Now let's go back to scripts, and we run a program. There shouldn't be any major change in the way the program runs. Anytime it throws a mammal object, which is right here, okay, right there, it'll show up with our new costumes. Okay, now let's say we really want to make this more difficult on our students. Okay, let's say we know a bunch of mammals and we want to expand this list beyond 5. Let's say we want 10 or 12. Okay, I'm going to expand it. I'm going to right click and choose duplicate. So it duplicated the cow, and hey, we can say we cloned a cow. Instead, we're going to change this cow to a sheep. All right, and choose your select tool, click on the rectangle, adjust it out so it fits. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, long as it's close. Let's choose duplicates. I'm going to come back in here and let's call it a rabbit. Okay, again, I need to adjust my container size that's behind the word. You can also use your arrow keys. I'm using my arrow keys right now. Notice my mouse isn't moving. I'm able to use my left and right, up and down arrow keys to adjust the box behind it. So it makes it a little bit easier, and you don't get that big, long, you know, annoying drag sometimes. And let's go from a rabbit to, I'm trying to think of another 3-letter animal name. I'm sure you're sitting there watching this thinking, hey, there's all sorts of them. You're forgetting them all, but I just can't remember them all. You'll be surprised. Anytime you make videos and you're recording and trying to do stuff, your mind goes blank. And let's go, oh, a rat. I should have known that. Oh, let's make this one a little bit larger. And let's come over here and change the box size to that. Now we got a rat. Okay, so we expanded it to 8. We have a total of 8. The problem is going to happen is when the program runs, it won't select 6, 7, or 8. And here's the reason why. You come back to your scripts tab. You look right here. It says switch costume, and it has pick random number 1 to 5. Okay, it's only going to pick 1 to 5 on the random numbers. Remember, your costumes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8. Those aren't in the range of the values that get randomly selected right here. So we need to adjust this little script there to go 1 to 8. Now, anytime it selects mammals, it's going to go from 1 to 8 right here. So click on the green start. Oh, catch item 1. And there we go. Now we're almost done. And you probably are, I'm glad this happened, because right here it's saying catch item 1. If we were making this game to be used for reviews for a test or reinforcing a lesson or some sort of elaboration exercise or extension for GT students, you catch item 1, that's great, but it doesn't have a lot of playability, especially if you want to make this game and let other students use it for review purposes or you know, whatever. So let's go to costumes inside the messenger sprite. Sorry, I'm right here on messenger sprite. And I'm going to change this costume from catch item 1, and I'm going to double click on here, and you can see the font's barely showing up. That's just because it's yellow. And we'll change that from catch item 1 to catch mammals. Okay, so you're catching mammals. And, oh, I didn't get lucky. It says catch item 3. Let's keep doing it. Hey, there we go. Catch mammals. So there's the word. Now your name of your messenger matches up with the name of the object that the player is supposed to be catching. You would do the same exact thing to go through reptiles and birds. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to adjust this game. Let's go back to our stage here. I don't want to mess with that. Well, you can always mess with the graphics and stuff. Let's say instead of having, we have what, 3 items here? Let's say we have a 4th item, okay? Let's look at how to expand to a 4th item. Okay, first thing we need to do is create our new item. So let's go over here and let's make it simple on ourselves. We'll right click on birds and we'll choose duplicate. Now we have this item over here, and let's rename it to, we'll call it fish. Sounds good. So we have fish as a category, and let's go in and let's go ahead and change the colors on fish over here. We're going to reprogram a lot of this to make it work, but just for now I want the colors to change on the costumes so that way visually you know that there's a difference. I think that's good for the students to see as well. So now we have our new item. Let's go over here and choose our paint bucket, and we're going to choose a new color. Let's go with green and go ahead and select green for the box. Make sure your paint bucket's selected. Should keep the same color down here. Select the rectangle again, paint bucket, rectangle, paint bucket, rectangle, and there you go. Okay. All right, so you got that all taken care of. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm not going to change up the numbers because we already went through that on how to change it to the names when we talked about the mammals. Okay, let's get into the programming side of the stage. Go and choose your scripts tab. First thing we need to do is item to catch. Let's increase this number to 4 because we now have 4 items to catch. We have 1 mammal, 2 reptiles, 3 birds, 4 fish. Down over here, set the random item number. We're going to set that to 4 because that is going to be the number we use to check to figure out which one we're going to start. Okay, down here, we're going to have to do a little bit of coding. I'm going to get a little fancy here. I'm going to go to the nested if-else statement right here. Right click right around the word if, choose duplicate, drag it off to the side. I'm going to change this number from 2 to 3. It's the same concept as before, but we're just expanding it. I'm going to get rid of this start item 3, pull that out, and I'm going to drag this start item 2 out of the way. Okay, let's get rid of the news here, and let's put that right there. We'll put this right here. We're going to change this value to a new, oh my goodness. Okay, change this from start item 2, and we're going to create a new message. And we'll keep with the naming convention of start item. We'll call this start item 4. Okay, start item 4. Then put that in the else section right there. So now it'll randomly select between 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same concept as before. Now we just have a 4th item here. All right, the paddle. Let's see. Nothing we need to do here. Robot. Again, nothing to do for the robot. The sheep. Okay, on this one, looks like we don't need to worry about that because it's primarily concerned about which item to catch, okay? And knowing that, I can pretty much infer, whoa, did I just drag something? Okay, you have to be careful with Scratch. You might be just moving your mouse around like me, just out of, I don't know, bad habit, and you might move something out of the way and kind of mess up your program. And again, what I was talking about was, since these are very I don't want to say robust, but they're set up so that they're very proprietary to each of the items. We don't have to go through and change anything with any of the other items. I'm pretty sure that's true. Now let's go to fish, since we know those don't have to change. Since we duplicated this sprite over here, we need to go over here and let's start off with the very top. Start item 3, this should be start item 4. Down here, we need to change the item to catch to item number 4 and 4. Okay, and everything else is still the same. So all the material that you put for this particular code is all going to stay the same. The other item, let's see, shader, we don't need to worry about that. Messenger, here's where we need to change the messenger up a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to costumes and let's change this one to duplicates. We're going to come over here and right click. We'll change this to catch item 4. I could easily have spelled fish, but I'm not worried about that. I'm going to choose my paint tool. I'm going to go ahead and change that to green. Come on, green. All right. Hey, hold on a second here. Let's highlight that. Oh, now it's turning white. All right, hold on a second. Okay, I figured out what was going on. I wasn't paying attention. I had flipped the colors that were being used down here. So if you highlight the text and choose whichever color you want, it'll change it to that color. And you'll notice over here on the icon it doesn't change. That's okay, no big worries. Just once you click off over here to the scripts, you go back to costumes. Well, it still hasn't changed, but trust me, it's going to be green whenever it shows up in the program. Let's go back over here and we're going to do something very similar that we did on the stage. We're going to go to the innermost if-else condition, right click, choose duplicate. I'm going to drag it down and I'm going to change this one to check for our costume 3. And if it is costume or item catch is 3, we're going to change item to item 3 costume. And it looks like I forgot to do something. It's not an error, but it's a necessary item to do. With our icon selected down here, we need to change this to item 4, just so we, let's change it to the full name just so we are following our own rules here. So the item 4 costume, and come back to scripts, and now this else condition should be item 4 costume. And let's go up here and drag this out. We should stick that inside there. And I can't think of anything else that needs to be changed. I'm going to play the program. There's one of our green fish icons. So everything seems to be working fine. Except I noticed an error. My mammals, whenever I catch them, the shader's turning red. Unless I'm losing my mind here. Let me verify it one more time. Yeah, so everything's turning red. Let me see what the error is with that. It should be green. Okay, I figured out the problem with the code. First, while we're on the messenger, I noticed the color wasn't changing. This is kind of a weird thing with Scratch sometimes. If you're having the same problems, go back to your paint tools inside Scratch and make sure you're in vector mode. Click the T for text, and we're just going to retype it inside there. Okay, we copied it, we did it correct, but Scratch is not playing nice. Okay, so this error I can blame on Scratch. However, the other error I will take the blame for. And that happens on the shader tool right back here, because you'll notice that the wrong shader item kept showing up whenever it was whether you're getting the right selection or whatever. It's because I didn't change the name of the costumes. I had named the costumes wrong item and right item, and over here I still had the older names of the costumes as right element and wrong element. So we need to change those or update them so that way they're reflecting the correct costumes that are inside of that particular object. And when we click on play, we hopefully will get it. Okay, there we go. So everything looks to be in order. The colors, let's get a wrong one here. Okay, good. So that helps end this video on a positive note with everything working, with us expanding this by 1. True, we had a little error, but it's good to see those errors because that's the best way you learn, is by making mistakes and correcting those mistakes as you go along. We also learned too that sometimes Scratch isn't perfect. It does have errors. That's kind of one of the nuances of using Scratch. However, I would say the pros far outweigh the cons. Keep with it and you'll definitely learn quite a bit. If you have any questions, just post a comment or send me an email.